IGNCA was doing academic and research activities since 1987. A number of thousands of publications have been brought out. There is a journal known as Kalakar, the newsletter. In 2017, when our current member secretary, then member secretary Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, who has also served as a vice chancellor twice in Keshav Thackeray University of Mass Communication, also founding registrar and dean in Akhalal Chakraborty University of Mass Communication in Canada. When he took over, he realized that IGNC needed to encourage some new venture. That he thought of having various academic programs. In 2017, first time we launched three programs, PG diploma course in conservation and cultural informatics and Buddhist studies. In 2018, we added two more courses in PG diploma courses. One was a PG diploma course in manuscriptology and photography, PG diploma course in digital library and data management. Later, we also added programs in South Asian studies, PG diploma course in South Asian studies, PG diploma course in travel, art and crafts. So, and also we started some programs in regional centers. And then in 2019, we decided to launch some certificates. We launched five certificates: research methodology, folklore and documentation, documentary making, ethnographic documentary making. We also started a postgraduate diploma in cultural management last year. And besides other certificate courses, some are in process, some more courses. So with this March pandemic situation, when we were supposed to start our next batch of certificate courses, it was delayed because we were just not sure that in this current pandemic situation how to cater the needs of the in-person classes. So then, and also many times students from different locations demanded that we cannot come to IGNCA. Why don't you have some programs which people from across the country or maybe outside the country can attend? So these one compulsion and another innovative idea leads to uh, these four online certificate courses which was launched last month. Certificate course in research methodology, certificate course in uh, course on folklore and intangible culture heritage, and certificate course perspective on culture. So these four courses which we are going to launch today by our own the program, which first time we are starting these courses. So I extend a very hearty welcome to all the students of these courses who have joined these programs from different parts of the country. I see some participants from outside country also. So, as online certificate courses have been mentioned, online certificate courses means the classes will be online. So, most of our classes will be, uh, almost all will be uh, through Zoom or Webex, which you will be given a schedule, and we have already announced the timing of the classes. And today, every program director will also give you more details about that. So I will talk about general things about it. Supposed to submit a fees, which you have already done it. After that, you will be issued a enrollment and also a digital ID. And on the basis of that, you will communicate with us. So there will be every course is having a course coordinator, uh, like for research methodology and research publication ethic. Dr. Jasveer Singh is the course coordinator. Similarly, for uh, folklore and intangible cultural heritage, Dr. Abhay Mishra and Aishwarya Mehta will be coordinating. Uh, and for cultural marketing, Mr. Dipesh and Dr. Nathan will be coordinating to make arrangements of the classes and to listen to your queries. So these online classes, sometimes we may have some recorded presentations, and time to time, sometimes we'll give you a monthly schedule, maybe weekly schedule, depending upon the situation or the depending upon the program director. So I'm the program director for research methodology and research and publication ethics. So why these two courses at IGNC? In India, we have PhD as a research. There are a lot of research programs, but it has been that uh, when we talk about various kind of research ethics or research and publication ethics, there is not a very good awareness about it. That was the one reason. Second reason, my experience at JNU, I realized that students are not well aware of the new and emerging technologies in the field of e-research, in the areas of various kind of reference management tools, citation tools, data analytics, and also when we talk about research data management. So there are many aspects of and plagiarism, its detection, its avoidance. Many people don't understand what is all plagiarism about. So when we talk about e-research, like e-research, we start with the having infrastructure to do the research, and then you begin your registering yourself as a researcher on ORCID or the Thomson Researcher ID or Scopus Research ID. But ORCID has become very important, and then you are doing research. So for each and every step, there are different kind of aspects dealing with the research and publication ethics. So these two courses are research and publication ethics is of 6 week course, and it is basically designed on the basis of UGC in December 2019 announced that it is mandatory for each and every PhD student to undergo a pre-PhD coursework on research and publication. So we have designed the course curriculum on the basis of that particular content. So this is a 6 week course. And then research methodology is a 12 week course. There are a lot of similarities in two courses. So initially, for 6 weeks, all the classes will be combined classes for research publication ethics and research and methodology. After 6 weeks, there will be only classes for the research methodology. And we'll be making it efforts to, like when we talk about a particular topic, research ethics, so we will have all the talks related to that. Then we will talk about referencing and citation, we'll talk about plagiarism, detection, we will talk about data entry. So during that we'll be talking about various kind of aspects of that particular issue, and also some kind of training, online or hands-on training, learning on tools, like for when we are talking about plagiarism detection, we will also talking about Turnitin or Oricon or other plagiarism detection software. When we will talk about referencing, we will be talking about Mendeley, EndNote, and Zotero, etc. So this way the classes will be conducted for the entire duration of the program. And somebody may ask that what will be the kind of evaluation system for this certificate. So we'll have two research papers. Uh, One will be end of 6B. That will be when the research publication ethics course will be completed, and then there will be a detailed paper at the completion of 12 week courses. So the first paper, which will be after completion of the research publication ethics, will be of 2000 to 2000, 3000 words, and it has to be written in the way a research paper is written, and then every research has to be has to make a presentation about it. Like when you will be writing, you will be using citation using Mendeley, and you will be making referencing according to the system. You will be required to make a plagiarism detection test, and you need to analyze those similarly. And similarly, when we talk about research methodology, there will be a larger, advanced version of that. Again, a research paper. And time to time, faculty might give you some assignments, some quiz, and some kind of questions during the class. So there will be a kind of grading. There is no online or offline examination. This will be the evaluation system for research methodology, research and publication. Similarly, my colleagues, program directors for other courses, will tell you about their system of evaluation because it may differ. There will be a separate method in folklore than research methodology. It is not necessary to common there. That we can discuss. Uh, Last thing in my welcome address is that we would like to very much clarify we are not an university. We are an autonomous body under Ministry of Culture. So, if you talk about various kind of credit system, so far we are evolving as an institution. So we don't have that university-like credit system in place currently. It may be done in future. We'll decide later, but currently we don't have. So some people ask me regarding that, can these credit be added to other universities? We are not sure about it because we are not related to any university or we are not. So the certificate which you will be receiving from Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, not from UGC or from the university. That's very much clear. That has been made clear during the admission process also. That has been made clear in our announcement of admissions, other places. So, and then in terms of facilities, uh, like currently there is a pandemic situation, but our library has been opened. Any one of you would like to study in the library who lives in Delhi, most welcome. You have to follow the social distancing and norms for sanitization and other. As a student of this course, you are a member of Kalanidhi Reference Library. So you are free to make use of the library facility. We also have a lab with 24 computers. There's some kind of uh, computing facility, internet facility. In case of any kind of project, I will be behind. We will provide you. But we expect everybody should have a laptop, current, because these online courses, having a laptop is must for everybody because we will be installing number of software, and then without having laptop, you cannot do this course because you cannot install manually. If you cannot install, then how will you do hands-on? How will you work on that? How will you learn about that? So it is not just about theoretical cases, but particularly for research methodology and research and publication ethics, you should have a laptop or either desktop where you can install those software, can do practice and you can. So with these words, I will not take more time. I will other speakers and more things. Our secretary will deliver our address and also tell more about. So with these words, once again, I welcome you all and thank you, my staff of the academic union, or my colleagues from other academic divisions for making this happen because we are proud to start these online courses. But I don't think any other institution or university as of now have announced or launched these kind of online courses. We may be the first in this direction. With these words, thank you very much. Once again, hearty welcome to IPC and look forward to having a greater association with you during next 6 to 12 weeks. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. I would now request Professor Molly Kaushal, Head Janpat Sampada Division, to address the students about the course Folklore and Intangible Cultural Heritage. Professor Molly Kaushal.
Thank you, Aishwarya. I welcome all the program directors, our member secretary who are present here today with us to guide us and to guide the students towards these courses. I welcome all the students who have taken admission for various courses. I would be particularly teaching folklore and intangible cultural heritage, which is a course being offered by one of the departments of the IGNC, which is called Janpat Sampada Division. Janpat Sampada division has a very vast mandate. So, if at one level it is looking at the folk and tribal traditions, at another level it is also looking at the histories of the development of various categories in Indian thought process, and it also takes into its embed the urban living traditions. So, it is better to think of this department as a department which studies and tries to understand the living traditions of India wherever they may be coming from, whichever communities, language groups, or regions they may belong to. At the same time, it looks at the wisdom traditions that are inherent in the folk culture of India, primarily which have existed in oral traditions and have been passed down from generation to generation in a face to face communication. These wisdom traditions can be about ecology, it can be about body, it can be about healing. At the same time, it will include in its embed the architectural practices, the medicinal practices of various communities which are still existent in India as part of a living tradition and very much a practiced practice rather than just an archived practice. So that's where I would like to differentiate it from ethnographies and anthropologies and all other disciplines. Uh, it is not studying the other, it is studying the self, because the moment you talk about the folk lore and you talk about the intangible heritage, and there is a difference between the two, they overlap and they also are different in many ways. And this is what this whole course would be discussing. So you would get to know what constitutes intangible cultural heritage, what is the history of its emergence, what is folklore just a song, a dance, a drama, a performance, or is folklore wider than that? Is folk a category or is it a construct? So there are a number of issues, and when students join, my experience with two batches already is that they're not very much aware that folklore is a very well established discipline in social sciences, and actually at the essence or base of many of social sciences are exactly these communities that folklore studies, or the lore of the communities that folklore studies. So be it anthropology, be it ethnography, be it performance studies, and even in history, when we're talking about oral histories, a lot of it really concerns folklore. Folklore was established as a discipline way back in the early 19th century, and there are different periods of the history of the development of this discipline, which was called folkloristic. So, precisely what you would be doing, and when you pass out from this course, you would be called folklorist. And folklorist is that category of scientists which delves deep into this discipline in various scientific and methodological schools that have already been prevalent right from the late 18th century to the 21st century, and new perspectives emerge in its study. At the same time, we would be also looking, if at one level we'd be looking at the Western and the European models of and the history of the discipline and the history of the category and its further development in Europe, and we did Europe and Western because the emergence of folkloristics as a discipline, and I'm saying not folklore, but as a discipline, really emerges somewhere in the late 18th and early 19th century in Europe, particularly in Britain and in Germany, and later Soviet Union, and the erstwhile Soviet Union and America. Simultaneously, along with this, there is a huge discourse on category of folk, which is called lok. We have categories like lok, we have categories of jantar, we have Janapadas. So there are various categories and various discourses that the Indian thinkers, even when they probably didn't call them as folklorists, but there is a huge discourse that exists in this field. So we will have professors and scholars who would be introducing you to some of the greatest minds of India who have written extensively, who have documented extensively, and who have given a new direction into how in India these traditions are to be understood, how the categories of the folk have to be understood. Now, before I start sounding that this whole course is very, very theoretical and what are the skills that the students would develop, practical skills. So we have kind of divided this whole course into different modules, so gradually taking you into what is folk, what is folklore, what is folkloristics, what kind of works have been done. We take you further to the performance genres of India, and we again have some of the best practitioners and minds who would be teaching you on the folk theatre what is the folk theatre of India, what are the forms of narrative traditions in India, what are the sung narratives, and then we also take you down to the heritage of the epics, that is the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and you'll get to learn of how varied this whole tradition is, how fluid and how living that tradition is. Moving from that, we will gradually go to the wisdom tradition, and from wisdom tradition, we will bring you to intangible cultural heritage, where you will be imparted skill into this whole program that now all the member states of UN are party to, and all member states have certain responsibilities towards fulfilling the convention of 2003 on safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. And accordingly, also in India, many programs have been launched to do that, and also in relationship to UNESCO. So we would be teaching you about everything about this convention. We will teach you about how to conduct folklore studies, how to do field work, how to do ethnographic documentation, how to make documentaries. It's not a course in filmmaking, but definitely an academic documentation is very different, say from making a proper feature film, or making a film which may uh, be focused on one particular thing, whereas here you would be studying making of ethnographic documentation in terms of the context of the communities and in the context of the various other practices. You would be taught to how to make nomination dossiers, how to present your projects to international bodies with these kind of projects. We will then be taking you to the archives and to teach you about how to recognize an archive, how to organize an archive, how do you do cataloging, how do you do accessioning, how do you retrieve data, whether it's digitally archives, or whether it is archives of ethnographic objects and photographs. So these are the various the whole journey that you'll be covering, and many other things in between. At the end of the course, you would be asked to, after each module, the students would be given a particular essay to write, which they would do in between 1500 to 2000 words at the end of the entire course, because now we are online, so we can't have you physically sit and do papers, and nor can we take you for field work, which we initially used to do. But we would give you an essay in which you will do whether you do your archival research, or you do library research, or you build it up from your own experiences, of if you've already been in the field, you've done some work in that area, is about 3000 to 4000 words. Each student would be given a specific topic, and then the aggregate of all these term papers that you will submit. On the basis of that, you will be issued a certificate degree of being a qualified folklorist. So I look forward to having you. You have already started your classes. I think you already had two of your classes. We'll be showing you a lot of films in between. We'll show you a lot of audiovisual material. Once your theoretical aspects are complete, you would be really engaging with a lot of audiovisual material. The medium of language is going to be bilingual. Some of these professors will teach you in English, while others who are more proficient with Hindi, they will speak to you in Hindi. And we are also on Saturdays, and I've already discussed this with you on the first day. We will be organizing on Saturdays uh, special lectures by some very eminent artists and scholars of the country. And maybe at some stage, I would request our member secretary that these lectures can also be made Facebook Live so that they reach a much larger audience. So, with these few words, I welcome you all and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Ashada, just a minute. I missed a very important point regarding the classes. So let me just inform every student of research methodology and research publication ethic courses that classes will start from this Friday. So the structure of the classes is that on Friday we have a session from 5 to 7. Then on Saturday we have three sessions, and the three sessions between one or the next session and first session there will be half an hour break, and the session will start on Saturday from 1:30 and will go until 8:20. So these will be the schedule of the classes, and as I mentioned that will be combined classes for research methodology and research publication ethics. You all will be receiving a link to join the classes, maybe by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So you have to be ready to have first class on Friday at 5 o'clock. I think this was the something which I missed, and I should let you know about the class. Thank you.
And the
Carry
folklore
on.
and intangible classes, if you can add, Dr. Gaur, would be from Monday to Friday and special lectures on some of the Saturdays. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Madhu.
I would now like to invite Ms. Supriya Kansal, Program Director, Kaladarshan Division, to speak a few words on practical perspectives on cultural marketing. Ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Supriya, as Aishwarya already introduced. I welcome you all to this orientation program of short-term courses being conducted by IGNCA. I am in charge for the short-term course on practical perspectives on cultural marketing, which, as mentioned in the advertisement, is going to be held on weekends, 2 hours class each, for a period of 3 months. And the course leader for this for cultural marketing is going to be Ms. Shriyanka Basu, who is a marketing professional, and she has a lot of experience in teaching marketing at various institutions, including the National Museum, even IGNCA. We've been running a course on PG diploma on cultural management for the last 1 year, and she has taken classes on cultural marketing here with a very good response from the students. And so she will be the faculty most of the time, but she will also bring in experts from respective fields like museums, organizations who will share their experiences that are relevant to the structure of the syllabus. Uh, what is interesting, why we thought of introducing this course in this particular time is also because of the pandemic, which has taken a toll over the entire world with increased social distancing and online programming being encouraged more and more. It will be interesting to see how far we can take marketing online. Anyway, the world has been taken over by virtual reality, which has encroached upon all the spheres of life. So it would be nice to see how museums and organizations connect with audiences, uh, how to strategize online marketing so that there's maximum participation and viewership. every effort success depends upon how well you market it. So it's important to have this structure, this syllabus, this course, so that we know how to pitch in, how to take forward an idea, and to reach out to people. To summarize the structure of the course in a nutshell, we will look at defining the objectives of the organization, what the vision of the organization is, especially in the midst of the challenges faced due to the pandemic. Then we will also look at defining the target audience with what are their expectations and accordingly pitch to them what we have to offer. We will look at creating online program strategies with case studies of museums and cultural spaces. And we will also try to identify collaborators, funders, who, if brought on board, can add value to the program, to the event. I think that's about it in a nutshell about the syllabus, and you will get to know more and more as you attend classes. And I hope you all have a good experience. You enjoy your classes. There's a good, worthwhile interaction with the faculties. And in the end, I would like to thank IGNCA, especially Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, our member secretary, Dr. Gaur, the dean, and Mr. B.B. Sharma, Director Administration, Colonel Rangnekar, and the entire academic staff for lending their support in making this endeavor motivating. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
May I now request Director Administration, Colonel R.A. Rangnekar, to please address our new students.
Good afternoon to everyone, and I would take this opportunity to welcome all the students who will be joining us for these short-term course online courses. It would be, as Director Administration, it would be my endeavor to provide all the administrative support to the various faculty and students who will be taking that time out to give you an exposure to the various fields that we have decided. I welcome all students, and I can assure you all that you are going to be in extremely safe hands. Dr. Gaur, Dr. Molly Kaushal, Supriya, and everyone on the academic side, they'll, I'm sure, strive their maximum to give you the utmost possible within this short duration. A hearty welcome. Have a great time with the audience. Thank you.
Sharma, Deputy Secretary Academics, to please speak a few words to our new students.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our agency, I will friends who have taken admission to the online courses. I'm sure there will be, all of you will be benefited definitely by this course in one way or the other in future. All the courses have been designed keeping you the future requirement and enhancing your knowledge to create more opportunities for you in future. I would believe our sincere effort to ensure that these online classes are conducted smoothly. If anyone encounter any sort of problem, they should feel free to write to Dean Sir, myself, or OSC Academy, or can meet if in person if possible. We'll try to solve it at the earliest. Thank you very much. Welcome again. Thank you, Aishwarya.
I would now like to invite our Honorable Member Secretary, Professor Sachidanand Joshi, for the inaugural address.
Thank you, Aishwarya, Professor Gaur, Professor Molly Kaushal, Colonel Rangnekar, Shri B.B. Sharma, Ms. Supriya Kansal, and all other officers of IGNCA, and of course Aishwarya, who is anchoring this event, and all the participants. I could see roughly around 150 participants have joined this event. That's a very good number and very encouraging number. So I welcome you all here at the IGNCA for the orientation program of the online courses, certificate courses. As Professor Gaur has told you that this is the third batch of certificate courses, but this is the first batch of online certificate courses. So in a way, we both are doing a pioneering effort. You are our first online student and we are delivering the first online certificate courses. So it's a mutual partnership which would go hand in hand and we would learn with the experience of each other. So that is a very welcome feature, and so I welcome you all being the partner of IGNCA in this venture. I would also like to tell you about the modality of online courses which Professor Gaur and Professor Molly Kaushal have already told you about. Uh, being an academician, I have been constantly trying to figure out which is more beneficial, an online course or a mutual physical course, which we attend physically. I don't know, classroom teaching is much better or an online teaching is better, because I can see many of you who do not live in Delhi have also joined this course because this is an online course. Had it been a classroom teaching course where you are supposed to be present physically, I think most of you who are not in Delhi might not have joined this course. That is one advantage of an online course. But of course, there are a few disadvantages. Uh, we have experienced those disadvantages during the period of extended lockdown in the pandemic, because I have been realizing that there is a there is a there is a term known as online fatigue, which has started overpowering us, which has started affecting us, and most of us who are engaged most of the time online are now slowly started realizing the online fatigue. So I have requested my colleagues to design the course in such a manner that it does not become cumbersome and tiring for the participants to attend this course, and we should keep the lectures in such a manner that you are in a position to easily adjust, easily accommodate those courses in mind. That is one big aspect we must all understand, that online fatigue is something which we will have to work it out mutually. That is where we would require your feedback also. Another thing is that we have to be more focused and attentive when we attend this course, as we have rightly said that it is not a course where we have a very formal sort of examination and grading system. We know that all of us have come to learn something, have to know something new, which has not been a part of our studies so far. So evaluation on any scale would not be a justified thing. We want that all of us should get the benefit without being pressurized with the gradings and marks. But then at the same time, when there is no examination, we should not take it lightly, and we should give more and more time and be attentive in the course. That is what is required, especially when it is online. I often say that there has to be an SOP, a standard operating procedure, for attending even the online lectures, because sometimes it happens. I have been delivering lectures in n number of webinars and online events, where sometimes when you see the grid view where you can see all the participants, it is very difficult to figure out in what position the participant is sitting and attending your lecture or a discourse. So it is sometimes very funny and awkward. So we need to have a focused attention, as well as there has to be some kind of a decorum in attending even the online courses, and especially when you are engaged in some other activity, some other work, like you are listening to music or even watching the television or attending your telephone calls. We should avoid attending online classes, because it is not good for you, and neither it is good for the person who is delivering the lecture. So those are the things which we must understand when we also attend the online courses. One thing I would like to make it very clear, and it should be made clear on the very first day. I know, as Professor Gaur has also told you about that IGNCA is not a university. It is not a university. We are an institution. We are basically a research-based institution. We do research, we do documentation, we do several projects which are related to our cultural traditions, customs, lifestyle studies, civilizational studies, references, and other things. But we are not a university, so we are not a degree-giving authority. but we can give our own diplomas and certificates, and that is why we have started a few postgraduate diploma courses 3 years back. And looking at the fantastic response which we got, we increased the number of diploma courses. Today, as of now, we are in a position to um, conduct 9 postgraduate diploma courses, which is quite a sizable number, you can understand. And all these diploma courses are in a field which are not very common and which are not available in normal universities or academic institutions. And why we have started all these courses is because we realize that the kind of work which IGNCA is doing, we require scholars, we require researchers. In fact, we also require some resource persons, some faculty members who can train some more people in the society. This area has been grossly neglected so far by most of our academic institutions, and culture and heritage management has never been taken up very seriously as a career option in most of the academic institutions. Even the youngsters do not take it very seriously when they study other courses, but at a later part of their life they realize that I would have, had I been given a chance, I would have studied archaeology, I would have studied museology, I would have studied, in fact, folklore, cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage. These are the areas which create interest, and someone would like to definitely go further and go deeper into the domain of knowledge. But since there was no opportunity to study in these areas, we could not study. And we also realized that the kind of courses which our routine institutions conduct are not in a position to develop the scholarship which we really want in this institution, because you have seen that all which we are doing is a different kind of a research and different kind of a documentation for which we really need focused and specialized scholars. So in a way, these certificate courses and diploma courses also enable us to groom those scholars, groom those researchers, groom those resource persons who can work in these areas, work in these fields. And we are more than happy to also involve you in some of the projects, some of the major documentation and research projects which we conduct quite regularly in IGNCA. I'm not feeling very comfortable talking to you online, because I would have appreciated that all of you should have come to IGNCA, see the beautiful infrastructural facility which IGNCA has, and the kind of treasure which we possess. It's really amazing, and you must make a visit to IGNCA, see those things, and try to understand what kind of a work is being taken up by this institution. This is one of its own kind, in not only in India but in whole of South Asia. And we are biggest cultural repository, and we are the biggest cultural research organization in the whole area. And not only we work for Indian cultural heritage, but also South Asian region cultural heritage, where most of the Indian diaspora exist. So this is the scope of this institution, and this is the purpose of the postgraduate diploma courses which we run, and purpose of the certificate courses which we conduct. Last year we had a batch of certificate courses, and even before last year also we had a batch of certificate courses. We had four, if I'm not wrong, we had 4 certificate courses in each of them, and we had fantastic response from those students who attended these certificate courses. In fact, many of us then volunteered to join the postgraduate diploma courses after that. So that is the that is the kind of response, and that happens because you know that our scholars and faculty members who are not exactly the kind of teacher which we look in the universities, but they are also practitioners and researchers, and so that they also give you the practical knowledge and the latest updated knowledge. And another thing is that we have a beautiful uh, facility for your practicals, and you can learn through your experience. You can learn by doing also. That is the advantage of doing some course at IGNCA, and that is why we got fantastic response from all the participants who attended the postgraduate postgraduate diploma and certificate courses. As far as these courses are concerned, you know that research methodology is in great demand. Um, we know that the latest regulations of UGC, not that latest, but the prevailing regulations of the UGC require some kind of a coursework to be undertaken, and that coursework can always be undertaken quite easily and quite comfortably with the help of course like research methodology. In fact, IGNCA has been the academic partner of many universities and academic institutions in conducting the research methodology course for their faculty, and also for the faculty who came for the refresher course and orientation course. So we have really made a mark in the course of research methodology, and people who have sought admission in this must feel privileged to be here, because we have an excellent facility and excellent faculty to deal with this course. Of course, the next course, which is the research publication ethics, is a new course, but it is a part of the course which is also important segment of the course, which has never been dealt in such a seriousness. That has to be dealt in seriousness, especially in the era of online publication. We need to take it more seriously and more cautiously. We must also understand various laws and rules which are prevailing in these areas, and also we must know the provisions and the limitations of these publications. So it has also been designed in a very, very nice manner. Third course is, of course, an interesting course, folklore and intangible cultural heritage. And as Professor Molly has rightly told you, that this is an area which was really closer to our heart, but we never gave a serious thought of say learning it through a structured course. I am happy that IGNCA could design a very well structured course where you can really uh, take you can really understand the nuances of folklore. And as she rightly said, that after this course you have the potential of being called as folklorist. So that's a very, very nice term which Professor Molly has given to you. The last course, which is of course cultural marketing, is the need of the hour. It is in great demand. You all know that during the course of pandemic, we all have experienced that the one of the biggest sufferers had been the artist, especially the performing artist, who used to earn their bread and butter through performances, and for last 5 6 months they are not in a position to perform. And of course we see that there is no possibility of having their performances 2 3 months. So what would they do when they don't have the scope of performance? That is an important thing we must understand. Of course, there is another aspect, that since the economy is on a slowdown, and we know that there are greater priorities to be addressed. The question also comes that how much money can be poured in the field of culture, and how the economy as far as culture is related would work. That is why the course in cultural marketing has become the need of the hour. I know the organizers of this course has great challenge in front of them also, in a way convincing the industry the profitability of cultural events and cultural exhibitions. But that's the area which an institution like IGNCA should always look into and focus. That is why we have ventured this course. We have a lot of expectations from this course. You must be aware that we run a postgraduate diploma in cultural management, which is also a very, very sought after course. People like it very much, and the results have been fantastic. Students of cultural management have been, they have done quite well in their area. So these are the four these are the 4 certificate courses which we are introducing. Of course, we are also keen to introduce a course on filmmaking, which is a documentary and ethnographic filmmaking and screenwriting. But because of the preparations which could not be completed by this time, we could not announce those courses. But very soon we would be interested to also launch these 2 courses as certificate courses. Another aspect which I would like to tell you that we are in process of finalizing our postgraduate diploma courses. We are in a fix whether to start it on online mode or have to again go back to the classroom mode. In another couple of days, we would finalize the process and we can announce the postgraduate diploma courses. Many of you who would like to join the postgraduate diploma courses also are welcome to join those postgraduate diploma courses. They are in different fields, and they are of, as I have told you, that they are of its own kind, and you have never seen those kind of courses being offered in a routine university. So I also welcome you in joining those courses, and also you can tell your friends and colleagues who are interested in this kind of courses to come and join those courses. We are also heavily relying on your feedback, because as I have told you that this is the first time we are starting an online course, and your feedback would be very important. So give your honest feedback. Be critical. I'll not say that don't criticize. You are welcome to criticize, but whenever you criticize, you also have an element of creative criticism rather than a hostile criticism. Because if there is a creative criticism, both of us can learn and grow together. That is the important aspect, that feedback, unless we get a feedback, we'll not be in a position to develop these courses or refine these courses. Of course, I am also requesting my colleagues, faculty members, to make it participatory as far as possible, because unless we have the active participation of the student, I think the course would not flourish. Like I'm addressing you, but I am not seeing none of you actually. And right now on my panel only I am seeing Jasbir Singh, who is my colleague. So that happens sometimes, because unless we have the active participation from the participants, it's very difficult for a person to really grow and understand whether things are going in a right way or a wrong way. So we'll try to make it as far as participatory, as much as participatory, so that we also understand your views on the course and refine these courses. These are the important aspects that I wanted to discuss with you, and I wanted to sort of share my feelings about these certificate courses. um, being pioneer in being you being the first batch in this, don't think that you are the guinea pig and we are making some kind of an experimentation. We have been doing, in fact, IGNCA is also um, associated with the ICCR for conducting some short-term courses of 2 weeks duration on an international global platform. So IGNCA is doing a lot of work in training and in education, and this is the area which was not explored so far as the IGNCA is concerned. But now, for last 4 years, we have actively started doing that, and we have got very good results. Uh, I welcome you all here at the IGNCA, although it is an online platform. But I would again urge all of you to make a visit to IGNCA, seek appointment with your concerned faculty, concerned heads, and seek their guidance, so that when you meet them in person, you would also know their dimensions, multifarious dimensions. They all are multi-talented people, knowledgeable people. They all are eminent experts of their own field. So once you meet them, you would also gain confidence. I'm sure, although I could not see the profile of all the participants, but I'm sure that many of the participants might also be having great credentials, and they might have joined this course only to upgrade their knowledge. I welcome also such people who have experience or who have proven record in their own field. With with modesty, I would like to tell them that you can become the resource person for us for the next courses to come, so that you have first hand experience of these certificate courses, and would be of immense help and support for designing and developing these courses in the next batches. So it's a very nice batch, and I could see that the attendance which you have registered here in this program is very welcoming, and that shows your interest. I know that it is a heterogeneous group as far as the age, professional experience, or the background is concerned, but sometimes these such groups create magic. So we our diversity would become a strength for making these courses better, and together we can send the message to a wider world. With these words, I congratulate Dr. Gaur, Dr. Molly Kaushal, Colonel Rangnekar, Supriya ji, and B.B. Sharma ji for organizing this event, and also my other colleagues who have really worked very hard to make this event happen. And at least we could hear each other, we could listen to each other, at least in the era of pandemic. I would also like to sort of tell you that you please remain safe, be healthy, be happy, observe all the protocols and precautions as far as this pandemic is concerned. And no need to worry about this pandemic. We have to only fight together with strong willpower and win over it. That is the best way of facing this kind of a pandemic. And I know that as the time goes by, these things would also get over. I said that ये वक्त भी गुजर जाएगा ढेर सारे सबक देकर, ये वक्त भी गुजर जाएगा ढेर सारे सबक देकर, काट लो ये वक्त जैसे तैसे फिर जी लेना जी भरकर. So there are happy days ahead where they are going to come, and we will all celebrate. We have to generate the sensitivity among the society as far as the culture is concerned, as far as the artist community is concerned. So we all must have the sensitivity towards the artist and towards the entire art community. And if Professor Gaur would kindly permit, can I share one poem so that people get...
Sir, please, it is always love to listen to you.
So it is a poem which was very well appreciated by most of the people. It is a 3 minutes video. Many of you who are on my Facebook page or who are in some kind of a contact with me might have seen, but they can of course see it again. Thank you very much, and God bless you all, and hope to see you soon. And you, most of you, please all of you be happy, healthy, and enjoy the life. And all of you are welcome to IGNCA. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful inaugural address. And I want to share with the student that if you go on Facebook, you will find a lot of interesting such videos and his stories and short stories and very encouraging writing. So we are very proud to have such a dynamic Brahma Secretary. So, sir, thank you for very encouraging inaugural address, and I'm sure everybody, all the students must have encouraged to do this course. Before I ask Aishwarya to go further, there are certain queries raised by some students on chat. Some of them are asking that can we join timeline, like if you are in folklore and your classes are Monday to Friday, so the Friday and classes suits your schedule. I think so. We can welcome you to join So that we can let you know. You send the request by after discussing the module of the classes, and it should not conflict with the other classes. Uh, regarding some of you have wrote that Friday 5 to 7 class of research methodology and research and publication. If there are certain issues, we can discuss that in the first class. So be available on first class on Friday at 5 o'clock. And if some people are working and have some kind of time issues, we can adjust the time because we are very flexible on that. We will see your need. And because we are having we are planned to have 4 sessions in a week in research methodology and research and publication ethics. So on the basis of discussion, we can work out a timetable which suits most of. And then regarding some of you are asking remote access to the library services. Yes, we have JSTOR and one more database that's for Humanity. Definitely, we'll arrange remote access to those databases for our students. We'll try to arrange some user agreement. So I think these were some of your queries.
So somebody is asked here if he or she can join intangible heritage and folklore course. So this is a call that you'll have to take, and if you allow, it's okay.
So only thing is that they're clash with the schedule. If that is not done, then I think we should agree to them. But those who are interested, they can send their request. We will consider right now. So I think with these words, I hand over to Aishwarya for.
May I now request Dr. Raj Shekharan, our OSD academics, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of our academic unit and the entire team, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all. A big thank you to our Honorable Member Secretary for his effort towards our academic unit. He is the one who is the starter of all courses through online, which is running successfully today. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for DT for his guidance in all our activities, ensure that we always do the right thing in the right way. I may like to express our sincere thanks to Deputy Secretary for his constant encouragement and support. Then I wish to express my gratitude to all HODs for their moral support and guidance. I am also very grateful to our staff members for a great success through their motivation and dedication. Finally, the wonderful students for their kind cooperation. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
So we will close the program and thank you all. And we'll meet now in classes.